Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging straight into a discovery that's, well, it's pretty extraordinary. It's really rewritten our understanding of the ancient world. We're talking about the Antikythera Mechanism.
That's right. And you have to picture this. It wasn't some grand monument. It was basically a rusty, unassuming box.
Right.
Found by sponge divers, of all people, back in 1901, near the Greek island of Antikythera, hence the name.
Okay.
It came from a Roman shipwreck about 2,000 years old. And, at first, people just thought it was another piece of corroded junk from the seabed.
Just another lump.
Exactly. But it turned out to be holding this incredible secret, something that really challenges what we thought ancient technology was capable of.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, our mission today, our deep dive, is really to unpack what this thing means, understand what it could do, and explore these kind of deep questions it raises about, well, lost knowledge maybe, and how human progress actually works. You've probably heard it called an ancient computer, maybe seen headlines, and that's honestly not far off. But we want to go deeper than that today, get into the nitty-gritty details and what they really suggest.
Sounds good. So let's start at the beginning then, the discovery itself. How did this object just sitting there for 2 millennia actually get found?
Well, it was almost completely by chance. You had these sponge divers just, doing their job near Antikythera around 1901. They weren't archaeologists or anything. They just happened upon this ancient Roman shipwreck. It had been sitting there undisturbed for 2,000 years.
Wow.
And they start bringing this stuff up, statues, coins, jewelry, the kind of things you'd expect.
The usual treasures.
Exactly. But among all that, there was this one object. Didn't look like much, just this corroded, kind of rocky metallic lump, all cracked and covered in crud.
So not exactly shouting, I'm important.
Not at all. So, yeah, initially it was pretty much ignored, just set aside.
Okay, but then someone did take a closer look, right, in 1902.
Yes, exactly. There's this archaeologist, Valerio Stace. He was looking over the finds from this bigger expedition. They were salvaging stuff between 1900 and 1902. And Stace noticed something that everyone else had missed. Something, well, almost unbelievable for something that old.
Gears.
Gears. Real, actual bronze gears stuck inside this corroded chunk.
That must have seemed impossible.
Oh, absolutely. People doubted him at first, apparently, but it was confirmed. And here's the kicker. Even after they knew there were gears, they still didn't really grasp its importance for quite a while.
Still just a lump.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Described as like a corroded lump the size of a big dictionary. It took much longer for it to get its proper name and recognition. The Antikythera Mechanism, the world's first known analog computer. Talk about hidden in plain sight.
It really is incredible. An analog computer. Let's break that down. What was this machine actually like?
Okay, so yeah, an analog computer. Not digital like our phones and laptops with bits and bytes. This thing used physical parts, wheels, and gears, all interconnected to make calculations.
Mechanical calculation.
Exactly. And the crazy part is the timing. We're talking ancient Greeks building this somewhere between 150 and 100 BCE.
Which predates similar technology by, what?
Nearly 2,000 years?
Yeah, easily. Nothing like it really shows up again until, like, the 14th century maybe, or even later, depending on how you define it. And it wasn't huge either. About the size of a shoebox, maybe a bit bigger.
Compact.
Very. But inside, packed with complexity. Around 30 intricate bronze gears, and some of these gears were tiny, with teeth cut so precisely. I mean, modern engineers looked at this and were just blown away. This wasn't decorative. It was serious, high-level engineering.
So what was all this sophisticated engineering for? What calculations could it make?
He was basically like a cosmic calculator for them, a model of their known universe in a box.
Okay.
It tracked the movement of the sun, the moon, obviously, but also the 5 planets they knew back then: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn.
All mechanically. All mechanically. It could predict eclipses, both solar and lunar. It showed the phases of the moon, waxing and waning. It tracked their lunar calendar, which is pretty complex. It even mapped the constellations of the zodiac.
Wow. How?
Well, on the back, there were these cool spiral dials. They were used for counting out years and different astronomical cycles.
Yeah.
Like there was one gear discovered later with exactly 223 teeth.
The Saros cycle.
Precisely. The Saros cycle, which they knew was key for predicting eclipse patterns.
That's incredibly specific.
Isn't it? And get this, there was even a little ball, painted half black, half white, that rotated to show the actual phase of the moon, just like you'd see it in the sky.
So it was a visual model, too, like a little mechanical planetarium.
Exactly. A portable miniature planetarium in a box. It's stunning.
And the accuracy. You mentioned it was accurate.
Oh, incredibly so. For its time, the design was astonishingly accurate, way
Yeah.
better than anything built for, well, like we said, probably the next 1,000 years or more. This wasn't just guesswork. It shows they had a really deep mathematical understanding of how the heavens appeared to move. It kind of forces you to rethink what we assume about ancient science, doesn't it?
It really does. So, okay, they find this thing, realize it has gears. But you said it took a while to understand. How did the reaction evolve? How did we finally figure it out?
Well, yeah, the initial reaction was mostly just confusion,
Yeah.
bafflement. It was so advanced, it just didn't fit the picture of what ancient tech was supposed to look like.
An anomaly.
Totally. So for decades, it sat in museums, mostly in fragments, this big puzzle nobody could quite solve. But then modern tech came to the rescue, starting around 2005.
X-rays, CT scans.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Really powerful, high-resolution X-rays and CT scans, stuff way beyond normal hospital scans. This let scientists see inside the corroded fragments without breaking them.
Peeking through the corrosion.
Right. And what they saw was amazing, this whole intricate network of gears, interlocking pieces. And they started finding tiny inscriptions, almost invisible to the naked eye. Patterns started to emerge.
And that confirmed its purpose.
Yep. It confirmed this was definitely a machine designed to model the cosmos. A calculator of the universe, as some call it.
And those inscriptions you mentioned, they were like a hidden manual.
Kind of. They found faded Greek text scattered across different parts. Descriptions of planetary movements, cycles, pointers. It was like the blueprint was etched right onto the machine.
Incredible.
Then more recently, in 2021, a team at University College London put together a complete theoretical model. They figured out how all the gears likely fit together to show everything, the planets, the eclipses, the whole 9 yards.
And people have built working replicas based on this.
They have. Several teams have built functioning replicas, showing that, yes, this design actually works. It could do what the science suggests it did, no doubt about it anymore.
Which brings us right back to that huge, slightly uncomfortable question.
The big one, yeah.
If they could build this intricate, precise astronomical computer back in 150 BCE, why did it just disappear? Why wasn't this the start of a whole mechanical revolution? Where did that knowledge go for over 1,000 years?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The vanishing act. You see this incredible leap, and then seemingly nothing. Silence in the archaeological record for similar devices for, yeah, over a millennium.
It's baffling.
It is. There are theories, of course, plausible ones. One big one is just destruction, war.
Like the Roman conquest.
Exactly. Rome conquering Greece around 146 BCE. That was a brutal, disruptive time. Cities were sacked. Libraries might have been burned. Think Alexandria, though that was later and complex. But you get the idea.
So the workshops, the expertise, just wiped out.
It's entirely possible. Maybe the specific artisans who knew how to make these things were killed or displaced, and the knowledge just wasn't passed on effectively. It was probably a very specialized knowledge.
Or maybe the materials themselves. Bronze was valuable, wasn't it?
Hugely valuable and recyclable. So another theory is, if one of these complex machines broke, and let's face it, complex things break, maybe it just got melted down.
Right, turned into swords or statues or coins.
Exactly. Why keep a broken, useless gadget when you could reuse the valuable metal? The physical evidence could have literally vanished into the furnace.
That makes sense. What about the idea that maybe it wasn't widespread technology? Maybe it was like top secret.
That's another intriguing possibility. Maybe this was elite tech. You know, a tool for just a few people. Priests calculating festival dates, maybe top astronomers, perhaps even advanced navigators.
So it was kept under wraps.
Could be. If the knowledge was closely guarded by a small group, it wouldn't spread, wouldn't be copied widely. And if that group disappeared or lost influence, the tech could disappear with them.
And then there's the chance that maybe this isn't the only one.
Ah, yes. The tantalizing idea that there could be more out there, still hidden in shipwrecks, maybe even sitting in a museum basement somewhere, mislabeled as just another corroded lump.
Have they found anything else at the Antikythera wreck itself that points that way?
Well, interestingly, yes. Further dives on the wreck in 2012 and again in 2015 brought up more artifacts, including a bronze disc with a bull emblem on it. Not part of the mechanism itself, but...
But it's just there's more down there, more complexity.
Exactly. It hints that the wreck still holds secrets. And it makes you wonder, was the mechanism truly unique, a one-off stroke of genius? Or was it just one example of a technology that was perhaps more common than we realize, but we just haven't found the others yet?
That really changes the perspective, doesn't it? This whole puzzle has obviously grabbed a lot of attention. I know Joe Rogan and Graham Hancock talked about it. What was their take?
Right, yeah, they discussed it back in April 2019. Graham Hancock, who's known for digging into these ancient mysteries, he was
Yeah.
very clear. He called it a real ancient Greek computer.
Not metaphorical.
No, absolutely not. He emphasized the gears, the dials, the actual computation. They talked about what it could do, tracking planets, predicting eclipses. Hancock even speculated about navigation, maybe like an ancient GPS.
Which must have blown Rogan's mind.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Rogan's reaction was pure amazement. Just that core question. How on earth did they build this 2,000 years ago? It kept coming back to that.
And they focused on that gap, right? The fact that nothing similar appeared for so long afterwards.
Definitely. They hammered that point home, how advanced it was, and then this huge, baffling gap in the technological record. This is where their conversation really shifted towards that idea of, lost knowledge.
Hancock's territory.
Yeah. Hancock suggested maybe ancient civilizations were way more advanced scientifically than mainstream history gives them credit for. And that maybe something happened, some cataclysm, a societal collapse, war, disaster, that wiped out that knowledge.
A reset.
Kind of. And Rogan seemed genuinely struck by that possibility, like it was a really thought-provoking angle for him.
And they mentioned that feeling, like solving the mystery, the mechanism is great, but it opens up this other, maybe darker mystery about lost potential.
Exactly. That punch-in-the-gut feeling, as they sort of described it. You solve one puzzle, have this amazing device work, which is a huge scientific win.
Yeah.
But the solution itself points to this massive loss, this incredible sophistication, just vanished for over 1,000 years. It really makes you question the whole idea of progress being this inevitable, steady climb upwards.
Hancock's view, I think, was that it's a warning.
Yeah, he framed it almost like that. A warning from history that civilizations can rise, achieve amazing things, and then fall back, forget what they knew. Progress isn't guaranteed. It's not necessarily linear.
A sobering thought, really.
Very sobering.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway for people listening? What does the Antikythera Mechanism ultimately represent?
I think fundamentally it's undeniable proof. Proof that ancient people, in this case the Greeks, had scientific and technological skills far beyond what we often imagine.
It wasn't simple or crude?
Not at all.
Yeah.
This was precision engineering based on sophisticated math and astronomy. It could do things that wouldn't be replicated for centuries and centuries. It forces a major rethink.
And yet, that central mystery persists. The big question mark over why it disappeared, that lack of continuity, the loss of that knowledge.
Exactly. That's the part that still resonates, the part that's maybe a little unsettling. Which leads us to, I guess, a final thought for everyone listening.
Okay.
If this level of ingenuity existed and could seemingly vanish from the record, what else might be out there? What other lost knowledge, what other forgotten technologies might still be waiting to be discovered? Hidden in the earth, under the sea, maybe even in plain sight in museum archives.
Challenging our whole narrative of the past.
Completely. And maybe the bigger question is, what does this story, this incredible rusty box and its disappearance, tell us about progress itself?
Yeah.
About how fragile it can be and how vital it is to, preserve and build on the knowledge we have now.
A profound question, definitely, sparked by one amazing artifact.
Absolutely. A question echoing across 2,000 years.